Hello, my lovelies. How are we doing? Right, well, it's the end of another month. How did that happen? It's just gone. May Knitter Natter. Woo, woo.
Let's begin.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you guys for all your lovely comments on the victory jumper. Oh, so generous, so kind. I realised the other day something quite exciting. I think it's the 1st of June. I don't have my reference book with me, so I don't rightly know. But I think it's the 1st of June is the new year for clothing coupons. So I've already been on Google and I've put in vintage reproduction clothing and I've already been eyeballing a few things because I feel like Rebecca deserves a little treat of something brand new straight out of the box. So I'm thinking dresses, but until I pop back round Mother's and collect the book, which is the Make, Do and Mend book, I don't know. I don't know what the points are. So I'm thinking I'd love one of those button-down dresses that kicks out, and they've got one on offer. Actually, they've got one on reduced. I think it's collective. Yeah, I would get my wear out of that. But I want to try and buy clothes that are proper material. You know, it's pure cotton, or it's linen, or it's cord, or you know, it's something proper. You know, I'm not a huge fan of all these fake, like, synthetic fibres. You just think, oh no, let's. This is the beauty of. I have to keep doing this because the laptop keeps deciding to go off. This is the beauty of doing the ration, especially with clothing and stuff. If you want someone who is a bit of a spendaholic, likes a little indulgence in the older retail department, you have to really, really be considered about how you're going to spend your coupons. I think you get somewhere like 24. I know it started at 66 when the scheme first came in and you had to use like spare margarine tokens in the ration book for your clothes because it was just sprung on people. There was no warning, it was just sprung. That was so that people couldn't go to the shops and raid everything before the scheme began. I think it was introduced on the Sunday evening and the shops opened Monday. I think, if I remember correctly. I get myself confused, but I think that's correct. We'll go with that. 24 coupons. I could buy brand new stuff for the year. Yes! And I desperately need a decent pair of shoes. So I have to budget and sort that out. This is the thing. If you're not into this, you won't get a kick out of it. If it just baffles the mind that anyone would be like this, then, you know, you won't get a kick out of it. But for those of us that do, you know, we like the challenge of thinking, right, you've got to last an entire year. This is what you've got to play with. Make it work, sister. Brother. Knitting wise, for May, I decided to do the Margo Ledbetter cardigan. And it's out of the family knitting book. And I think it's like 1971, 72, something like that. Now, I did struggle initially with the pattern on this one. I was reading it as a below, instead it's a back. Chaos ensued. I took some footage, I'll put it in now. Right, so I'm struggling with this cardigan. I had cast on the entirety of the stitches and it got to the point where we're doing the pattern and I just felt like I completely fluffed up, so I've ripped it. I'm now in bed with a sample and I can't make it work. I can't make it work. Let me show you. The pattern for the fancy rib, it's knit 1 belows, knit 2s and purl belows and purl 2s, which is simple enough. The work is curling over because I keep knitting into the very first knit 1 below. It kind of makes a hole. So then when I go back to purl, I'm purling into that hole, but then it's creating a proper structure. So then when I go to knit again below, it's into that same hole. So there's no actual progression of the material. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because I can't see where else to put my knit belows and purl belows. So, but I really need a cardigan, and I really like this one. I like the texture. I like the bobbly effect. So, I'll try it again another day. But for now, I'm just going to put this project to bed. Worst comes to the worst, I'll use the stitch amounts, but I'll just pick a different pattern from the directory here. There's a basket weave that looks quite good, looks quite similar. Where are we? There's the basket stitch. I mean, that looks different. That looks interesting. I mean, that's quite nice. Honeycomb stitch. And that jaggedy thing. That looks quite nice. You know, so there are options. If I can't get my head around what I'm supposed to be doing with the belows, I can always pick one of those and just swap it over. I am supposed to be having an early night tonight, but it's not going to happen. I'm in my comfort zone. I'm doing my comfort thing. I'm knitting in bed. Right, so I've just been flipping through the knitting book. Oh, you are actually joking me. So in this pattern, there's KBs again, which I've been taking that as knit 1 below. You know, KB1 or whatever it is. Yeah, KB1. So I just thought, actually, I'll double check on the abbreviations, just to make sure I am getting it right, because KB3 is a bit like, okay, look, KB, knit into the back of the stitch. If you are knitting below, it's K1B. I think I might just turn the light off and wake up tomorrow when it's another day. That's literally wasted all evening. I'm too enraged to do this sample now. That's it. Done. Good morning. I think I've cracked it. It wasn't below, it was behind. So I can get started on my cardigan. Yay! I'll tell you something, it absolutely makes you realise, I've got to have my brew. Need a cup of tea. Now I'm already winning. The day started off well. Makes you realise that you just can't always be cocky. Can't be cocky. You know, do your swatch. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have had to rip back 2 hours of work. Right, well, I'm so thrilled that we got there, because it's actually starting to knit up quite nicely. It's not finished, but the dent has been made. So this is the back, and I've never made a raglan sleeve before where it's triangle, like proper triangle, so that's something new. So I'm really loving, as you knit it up, it does create the bumps. It's so cool. It's proper. It's the most unique texture. It really is. So I'm really glad it's working out, and I think it's going to be a favourite. I think I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it, and when it is finished, this is going in the bin because it's starting to just rag everywhere. It's a bit like it's in the same sorry state as my big granny cardi, but the problem is I love that one so much I just can't chuck it away, even though I look like a bag lady in it. I just can't let it go. Not until it's really falling apart. Now, I had 3 separate big balls of this yarn. So what I've done is I've cracked out the 2 balls for the 2 sides up the front, so they kind of match. You know, I sort of started off at about the same place in the colour pattern, so they sort of match up. So that's where I'm at. I've just finished at this point here now, because I've got to do not only shaping for the bit in the middle, but also shaping, armhole shaping. And you know what I'm like. I make fluff ups very easily. I'm waiting for a day where I have complete concentration, and I will crack on with that. So that little project is coming along nicely. I think it's starting to threaten to rain. Yeah, I'm seeing a few spots. It doesn't matter though, it's still nice. It's still nice and warmish. Although, I mean, it has been a little bit chilly over the last couple of nights. So the thing that I'm working on, until I get the shaping done on that, is my top. I haven't really done that much more on it because that's taken up most of the month, but we've done armhole shaping. We've done it like I did in the last one, sort of put it there, followed it round and thought, yeah, that'll do. I think this is all I've got left of the yarn though, so I'm thinking it's going to have to be a slip over, because I highly doubt there will be enough left to do sleeves as well. I may even be push and go actually as to whether there's enough to do the front, but you know, we'll play it by ear. We'll play it by ear, cross his fingers, hope for the best. So they're the only 2 projects I've got on the go at the moment. I've got in my head though some sort of ideas for designs and things, so watch this space. You never know. Rebecca might become a knitwear designer, who knows? Anything could happen in this world, anything. I discovered a new camping shop, and they sell like these little plug things for my 12-volt socket, and it means now I can charge stuff up. It's almost like being in a home. It's, oh god, it's amazing. If only I had a garden. How can Sophie have a garden? Might have to get a lot of window hangings. After living a year in Sophie, for her anniversary, I've treated Sophie to a shower room extension. By that I mean I've treated her to a bucket, a shower, one of those portable showers, and she's got like a shower curtain thing. Bless you, Rosalie. Rosalie's Pantry. Bless you for the amount of times in your comments where you just keep saying, we want you to have a cottage, you know. And I get it, like from a selfish point of view, so I can do the gardening and we can do the kitchen and stuff. So bless you, Rosalie. Bless you for putting it out there. Like, I feel you, girl. I hear you, sister. Like, seriously. I know you're saying, like, on a selfish point of view, you know, it would be wonderful for me to have a home. And yes, it would. Yes, it would. It really, really would. I do miss making my kitchen stuff. And I want to ask you guys, if I was to do just standalone recipes, instead of like these vlogs and stuff, because you won't believe how long those things take to pull together. That vegetarian wheat one, that took me 3 full working days to edit it together. because you're just left with so much B-roll and just general rubbish that hits the cutting room floor to try and get it down, because I always say under 30 minutes. I mean, I do my best, but really I'm seeing a moth and that needs to go. Why have I got a moth in Sophie? The sly thing's hiding, but I will get it. It's dangerous. You see, I've got all my yarn in here, the cushions, my clothes. I mean, basically, if you're a moth, this is just like an open buffet. I'll get you at some point. I will not be beaten by a moth. What were we saying? What were we saying, chaps? We were talking about something. What was it? Kitchen. Yes, recipes. Now, if I were to do little standalone recipes, but they would basically have to involve being fried or boiled, would you be interested in that? Instead of doing these big vlogs. As much as I love watching the vlogs, when they've come together, oh my God, I love them. I love them, they're so much fun. But they take a crazy amount of time and effort to do. Jake, Kitchen Scrap, you'll know this. Editing takes forever. Right, let's do a bit of admin now, because guys, we've been doing this for a while now, haven't we? Quite a few of us. And hello to the new ones. Welcome, welcome. Come one, come all. We're a good bunch here at the Ration Book. You'll enjoy yourselves. But I have been questioning the Ration Book. I'm not going to lie. Does it need to be more streamlined? And by that, I mean maybe slightly a bit more professional, whatever. So, what do you feel? And I'm just going to go on the general consensus here. What do you feel about the Ration Book generally being a dumping ground for absolutely everything? Because I'm unsure. Should it just be the kitchen and the recipes? And should I move the knitting and whatever else over to another channel? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Or do you think it's alright, Rebecca, you just do you, darling? You know, so let me know what you guys truly honestly think, because if I'm going to shake my life up and all the rest of it, I feel like now is the time. Now is the time. I don't know about you guys, but I have spent most of my life, now we're going to go spiritual now here, we're going to go religious. I've spent most of my life sort of saying no to Jesus and all the rest of it. Believe in God, believe spiritual, all the rest of it. But Jesus, no thank you, no. But I don't know, there is just something where over the last year, 6 months, year, you know, I'm there, I'm getting there. And do you know what's really strange is I'm going on this journey. I found myself a bargain. Got that from the Abbey, just up the road. It's the one where I went and ended up on that brewery tour. And I've just been there today actually to see if I could find a nice necklace. I'm a firm believer still of you don't just buy something for the sake of it. You know, it's like it's got to jump out at you. And unfortunately, I wanted to go and get myself something, and just none of them were saying to me, I'm the one, you know. So I'm gonna have to keep looking. But yeah, I'm sure I had a point for this. What was the point for this? Can you hear the bell for the Abbey? Yeah. Yeah, one of the fathers was in the shop, and you know, as lovely as they are. We're trying to, you know, do your service and everything. Yeah, there wasn't anything there for me. Let's catch up on cottage. I've offered on 2 cottages since I think we last spoke. I mentioned about going to see one where it was gorgeous, like 1700s. It was too low of an offer, but I had spoken to a couple of neighbours, one that lived sort of just 10 doors down and one that was next door, because it was a semi-detached, and she said, I can't believe he's put it on for that price. It's not worth it. And bearing in mind, her dad is one of these people that buys houses, does them up and flips them in the village. You know, she's married a fella that's never left the village. Like, they know what the prices are. So I went off of her judgment. I said, okay, well, what would you say is a reasonable offer for it? So I've just gone off what she sort of said, and he said no. But apparently, because they all know each other, it's a village. I mean, tongues wag. That's the 3rd time he's put it on the market for sale. What he does is he puts it on the market for sale, doesn't sell because he's asking too much for it. Then he rents it out. He might rent it out for 6 months, maybe a year, puts it back on the market, see if some sucker will pay over the odds for it. They don't. He rents it back out for another 6 months or so. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to get diddled. You know, yeah, it's nice and everything, but I'm not like besotted with it that I'm going to overpay. So that one has just been left on the table. It's still for sale, and as of yesterday, he's reduced it £10,000. Now, there's another one. Oh my God. Absolutely adored this one. Now, I put in a very comfortable offer, and then I went to the maximum. I mean, we're talking like you're moving in and you're living on weeds, quite frankly, because you can't even afford a tin of baked beans. That kind of level of maximum. That was still a no, but it wasn't a So mother very kindly sort of said, right, well, let me lend you a little bit. I said, okay, right. Put in a 3rd offer, waited a whole week. They still haven't made a decision. It's 2 executors. One of them is saying, snap her hand off, just take it, sell it, you know. And the other one, no, money grabbing, money. Bearing in mind, this is what I think to myself at the moment. I understand that no one's got any money. So people who have got like this one asset to sell really want to make sure they're getting every single penny for it. I get that, I understand that, and I respect and appreciate it. But this, on the flip side, when you know what state of play the country's in, and I'm going to guess around the world is the same, we are currently, jobs market-wise, at 2008 financial crash levels. And it's only going to get worse. My uncle is a sort of an under CEO at quite a big company, and if the big CEO chap man isn't in, then he, along with another chap, has to sort of basically run this multi-gazillion pound company, you know. So, and he was telling my mum that there's going to be major job losses, irregardless of what happens with Donald Trump and his tariffs, or what happens with the world conflicts or anything like that. Next year, already in the plan, are major job losses. And he has said to her, we're not the only one. So it's only going to get worse. It's so much more expensive now for businesses and employers to actually have staff. So they've kind of cut their losses before the new financial tax year. But then any jobs that would have been created where people probably could do with somebody to help, but they're not employing, they're not creating jobs. So that's a double whammy, you know. And then on top of that, there are going to be job losses next year. So the jobs market ain't looking pretty. And also the stock level of properties is now at a 10-year high. The last time stocks were this high on Rightmove was 2015. So after the recession, after the crisis and all the rest of it, and you're coming out the other side, and then people just wanted to move, didn't they? We're back there. And I just don't think some sellers are grasping where we're at. But at the same time, yeah, maybe some buyers need to appreciate that they need to like hit the asking prices. But again, the majority of estate agents, they always overestimate. Your house isn't worth what they say. What a lot of estate agents do is they'll tell you it's worth this much to get you on the books, and then what they'll do is they'll knock you down. You know, everyone knows this. We all know this. But you do get some people that are just, they're putting silly prices on the properties. And then other properties that I've been watching, because obviously I've been watching this for a while now, there's an awful lot of properties that were sort of around the 225, 230 mark, which is what I've been looking at. They either get sold and then months down the line come back on for sale, or they get taken off the market, wait 3 or 4 weeks, come back on fresh, so they look fresh to new eyes, you know? But I'm like, oh, it's come back on again. Oh, it's come back on again. This is the first time in the last week or so, though, these 230 houses are now coming on at 200 that haven't sold over winter, and people just need them selling. So, buyer's market. But yeah, this cottage that I went for, that I offered 3 times on, oh my God, it was kind of perfect. It had its faults, believe me. It was next to a river. It was next to a telephone pylon. It had a great whacking beam through the main bedroom. You think, it's different. It could not be used as a buy-to-let because it was so cold. The EPC rating was just through the floor. Unless you get, I know, an indemnity or something, I don't know what you'd call it. But yeah, you can't use it as a buy-to-let or anything because it's so drafty and so cold because it's so old. You know, it's like, oh my God, it's amazing. The plot that it was on was beautiful. But then down this little bend of the lane where it was, you've got a family of peacocks. And they're just going, and you're just like, oh my God, is this the dream? This is the dream. Is this the dream? But after waiting 1 whole week to see if I got a response, because I heard nothing from the estate agent, so eventually, after a whole week, I rang them up and I said, oh, I'm just checking in to see if there's any news, really. Oh yeah, we were going to call you, actually. It's like, you know, I was like, okay, here I am. You know, they said, yeah, one side just wants to sell and the other side wants more money, and the 2 executors don't talk to each other. They can't even agree on a price over the course of a week. What happens when I've got queries from the searches, from the survey, from whatever else that might crop up? Are the chimneys going to be swept and certified? Is the oil tanker heating system going to be certified as working? Because by the time I move in, it's going to have been sat there for 1.5 years through winter. Has it been on? Has it been you know, is it going to be seized up? Like all of these sort of stuff. And any querying about, you know, ooh, this, that and the other. Well, how do they agree on stuff? They can't even agree on whether to sell the thing or not. So I spoke to Mum about it. We had a cup of tea, of course, a very strong brew for that conversation. She just said, Rebecca, I know it's kind of perfect. It honestly, it's kind of perfect. But you're really going to have to pull out because you can't deal with these. Finding a home is stressful. It's stressful. I thought I'd be a cash buyer. The cash is in the bank. I'd be able to just pick and choose. It really doesn't work that way. You're at the mercy of what comes on the market. When you do find the perfect property, which is what this is, you've got stuff that is unforeseen behind the scenes, i.e. you could have a bad conveyancer, or sellers that are bad sellers. And you just think, oh my God, you know, the idea of buying a caravan at the seaside's getting better and better. I said to Mum, I says, Mum, I'm sick of, I'm so sick of looking at houses. But she says, well, that's fine. You could take maybe a week or two off, but you've really got to find somewhere. And, you know, you can't find anywhere if you're not looking, and then you're not going to view. And you just think, it's set. The problem is, when I detach myself from finding a home, I start to lift. I start to get happier again. Day by day, my mood starts to lift. My mind starts to clear. You know, I start to feel happy in little Sophie. And the idea of going off and going to places, you just think, oh, you know, that happens. And then you have to start looking at houses again and booking yourself into view houses. And it honestly, the fun is gone. It's seriously, that went a long time ago. And as lovely as Sophie is, she is gorgeous. She's a sexy little thing, is little Sophie. But she's not a cottage with its own little garden and its own little fireplace where you can just relax and know that you're just safe. You're not going to get moved on at 2 a.m. You're not going to have to try and find somewhere level. You don't appreciate just the beauty of having a level bed until you've done van life. Because we're on the wonk now of being on the mains for water, electric, gas, not having to worry about any of that. If you want to put the lamp on and just work into the wee hours, you can do that without even having to worry about a flat battery. Like, seriously. These are the cons to van life. The plus, the payoff, is that you go and get to see all of these new wonderful new places, which I still can't do because I've got a hospital appointment next week. So I'm still tied to here. Maybe I need to buy a lottery ticket. I did say to Mother, I said, oh, I'll go down the local casino. I'll do red and black on the roulette. Eventually, my number will come up. She went, no, don't blow your money at the roulette. It's that thing, isn't it, where you start with £1 and you pick just a colour. You do either red or you do black because you've got a 50-50 option as to whether it's going to come out or not. So you start with £1, and then if that doesn't win, you roll it to 2, and then to 4, and then to 8, and then to 16, and then to 32, and then to 64, and then to 128. Ooh, it builds up quick, doesn't it, then? But eventually, as long as you just keep doubling it, you get your money back. Or you win or something. Yeah, maybe that's not the greatest thing. I can't even explain it. So that's not the best idea I've had. Yeah, so anyway, right, well, I'll wrap it up there because I'm just rambling at this point. So, enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your week. If I see you at Operation Ashbourne, which is a 1940s Derbyshire weekend, comment, whatever, we'll meet up. We'll have a good old natter. Yeah! And I'll see you again next time. Anyway, bye for now. Bye. Got it. Yeah, baby. Another one bites the dust. Stop eating my curtains.